legacy going. You know, he's given us the seed, and we have to make this grow. Yeah. So firstly, I just want everybody to cheer yourselves and Brother Ducky. Thank you. Right. So I've got some shout outs. Another family gathering is a reparations on the 1st of August. So we're inviting you to come down there. Another family gathering, we'll be marching for reparations. And also there's a cause that Dougie holds close to his heart, and it's about the community centre in Turnpike Lane. And they've got a campaign by the door. So before you go out the door, make sure you give a signature, give your support. Right. So what I'm going to talk about today is the sacred science of words. The man who said, know yourself, him not know. If he did know, we would have the answer and we wouldn't be in the position we're in today, right? So the first thing that happened to us as a people is that they done brain surgery on us. That's why we're not functioning how we're supposed to function. If you look at our ancient artifacts, you can see the high level of skill that we had that they still can't comprehend today. We have abilities that they still can't fathom. And what they done to us, our original language of sovereignty. We created we were one of the first creators of language, and language was not just either words that you use today, because the words you use today don't mean anything. Don't give you no science of what the thing is you're talking about. When you call a word, they say that a word is a noun. The first thing that I want you to remember is that one of the founding fathers of linguistics said the letting go of the letter and the study of sound is the first step towards freedom. Yeah. So the first thing you have to do, and nothing as a sound man in there, is to study the sound. And the next thing is that just like a heart monitor, language reveals the nature of the writers of the language. So if we look at the word noun, it has two sounds in it, no and un. Yeah. And noun is just what you call something, no science. In the word pronounce, it's just when I call something in front of you. Announce is just a calling. Renounce is a call back. So noun, which is one of the basic forms of the English language, you don't know nothing with that sound. Even the word read, to read, they don't tell you what read is, so you can't read because you don't know what read is. Read is made up of two sounds. Read, which means to go back, and add, which means to move. If you don't tell that, you can't read. So recall, remember, renew. Every time you hear the sound read, it means to go back. When you reverse the word read, it means to carry out something. Jump, jumper, run, runner. So to read, you have to turn the sounds backwards or backwards. We've been tricked to think that, the language is from right to left. But to say any Latin word, which is a third of the words in language, in English, you have to put the sounds back. For instance, criminology. Ology means the study of criminals. Biology, you have to say the sounds backward, the study of life. Sociology, the study of what is social. So we've been tricked and made dumber and dumber by the people who have given us this language. So the word unknown, I said it already. Noun is unknown because a noun doesn't give you the science of the word. So what we used to practice is called medu nature. Translated to English is me do nature. What we used to do firstly, we created thoughts into symbols, and then we used the symbols to expand our thoughts. We use language in a highly scientific, biological, alchemic way, in the way that we communicated to each other. So every letter originally had a word in it. The word that it had in it was how we functioned. How we functioned. So every letter had a word that related to your nature. And what we used to do, we had a language of sovereignty, ascendancy, and the ability to, so we lived the life of a sovereign, we lived a life to expand ourselves. We didn't worship nobody, even though we worship now, we worship, so I don't know where we worship anyway. So we had a language of ascendancy, a language of power. We were power, just like Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest. And he was the greatest. You could call yourself into being by the feeling of the words that you enacted. This is what we had. So they done, and I said, the man who said, know yourself, in that no, because we wouldn't be sitting here right now. They performed brain surgery on us, so we lost our nature. How did they do it? They took away the original words. Here's a process called acrophonics. So they took away the original words, and we were just left with the letter, the sound of the letter. That's how the word A became A. It originally had a sound or a program of how we could ascend. Right? So once again, they stripped the sound from the symbols. The dog knows the sound, but doesn't know what the word is. We know the letter, and the reason why it's called a letter is because now we let everything happen to us. They use these sounds for specific purposes. Now we have become a nation of letters. We let things happen to us because we've learned to do it from them. When you reverse the word let, which is L-E-T, you reverse the sound and the frequency, you get the word tell. And this is what, especially our women, we were tellers. You know, we could tune into something and tell what that tune was for. Tune tellers. That's our nature. You know, so what they done once again, they stripped the sound from the symbol. So I'll give you an example of one of the so-called letters and the nature of what is in the letter. The first letter of the alphabet, they don't tell you what it is, but I'm going to tell you. Once again, the man who said, know yourself, you never know. Right. The first letter of the alphabet is called A. You go in the dictionary or ask the professor, what does A mean? Them saying A or A. That's what they say. You go into Greek, they will tell you that the letter of the alphabet is A and it means first. Why does it mean first? You don't know. You've got to go into Hebrew or look at the Phoenicians to find out why the letter of the word. I'll just tell you why. The reason why the letter A is the first letter of the alphabet is because through our ancient wisdom, and it relates to your nature, it's the first sound you make. Oh. Language relates to your nature. The reason why A is the first sound, it's the first sound that you can actually make. The reason why Z is the last letter, it's the last sound you make. Or when you did. So language in its original state was what we used to develop our nature. When you look at the letter A to find out what we used it as and how it relates to what our science, once again, everything we said was a science. You reverse the letter A and you'll see your ox's head. This is how it relates to being the first letter of the alphabet. So the letter A, which they've dumbed us down, relates to the ox's head. The ox used to be used in the farm as the animal of strength to till. So the ox was the design of strength. This is what they use as the farm animal. And there's a reason why the letter A becomes an ox and why it relates to the first sound you make. If you look at the word, the reason why, when you take in air, it's called oxygen. Oxygen, gen is the Greek word to mean to produce, as in the word generator. So to generate your strength, you produce oxygen. That's the science of the first letter of the alphabet. Anybody who does sports or performs know how important breath control is. So the letter A didn't just mean the letter A, it was our ability to temper our nature, to stop yourself getting hot-headed, cool yourself down. And we had just the first science was the science of breathing. So this is how every letter, the B was meant to your body. So your body was the science of duality. Because now, through you breathing in air, you're now able to see the differences, and you need a difference to live. You need dark to see light, you need high to see low, you need left to see right. So when you breathe in this science of the air, now you can see differences. You can see the differences. Once you can see the differences, then it's called ba. Basically, your body, you see the bodies in things because now you've stimulated your spirit through your breathing. Now you can see the differences in things, so that's called ba. You can now move forward, which is called your car. You can now carry yourself and maneuver through the differences that you can see from breathing in. You can see the duality for the ba. Now you can maneuver. Once you can maneuver, the D, now you can go into different dimensions. I can go that door, I can go into this door, I can go into. Once you do that now, you experience different energies, which is the E. Through experiencing the different energies, now you have a frequency into the energies that you can see. And through that frequency, you can create a force in relation to that. And that is just A to F at the moment. When you get to the H now, the H, you can hold what you see, you can call it out, or you can let it go. That's from the H. H is the window which enables you to see that. Once you've got those letters, then you get to the I. Now you can experience the ideas of what you stimulate. You've seen the differences, how you carried yourself, which dimension you went through, the frequencies that you saw, and now the experience that you felt, you can now get the idea of it. From the idea, which is the I, they put the J in there once again to throw us off the track. From you get to the I, you get to the L. L represents the leader. Now you have control of the ones before. And funny enough, the I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, which relates also to the birth cycle. So this is how just how the woman brings birth to life, this is how we bring our man to life as the creative being. We've been tricked into externalizing and giving our energies to forces outside. So that's a basic instruction of the science. So now I just want to show you how they make you dumber and dumber. How they make you dumber and dumber? First, you go into a nursery school. You're not even sick, and you're in a nursery school. So then they bring a doctrine in. Right. So education is one letter short of medication. Right. So the first thing they do to dumb you down is teach you plain English. And no black man don't like no plain food. So we're already upset. They teach you plain English, not no highfalutin English from the ones who created the fuck. We learn plain English. Yeah? So plain English, this is why they explain everything to you. Everything is an explanation. And what happens when you only explain something plainly? You complain about everything. This is why we get into disagreements, because through our scientific nature of mathematics, basically we have biomathematics. Biomathematics is rhythm, simply. We can calculate certain things just by the frequency that someone gives off. They need to write it down and do a times table. This is why Usain Bolt can win the 100 meters by eating jerk chicken. No science had that in its play. We have the ability just for a rhythm, that is our mathematical skill. Now, so this is the style that we have. So basically, once again, plain English, you complain about everything. Yeah. The next thing about this language that they give it meanings. Meaning in mathematics means average, not what something is. You take 5 letters and then you divide those 5 letters to get the mean. A mean man doesn't give you nothing. Know what I mean? When you go to a dictionary, you don't get that letter, you get another 5 letters to confuse you. This is what they trick you. You go to the dictionary and you try to find out what one word is. Now you've got another 4. Yeah. So this is what they've done to trick you. So basically, what happens once again? You learn plain English. No seasoning. So we're talking in averages. This is why you get in an argument. What did you mean by that? Because we're not using language of precision. we are using ordinary, and this is why they call it ordinary. They call it ordinary because you become ordinary, and it's making you primed to take in orders. So the first step of language, once again, is plain English, to simplify your mindset, to make you ordinary for the next step. The next step is called education. The root, how long have I got? 3 minutes? All right. The root word of education is the word juice. Juice means to lead. It doesn't matter, it depends who's doing the leading. And once again, this is why they want us to have the mindset of their favorite animal, the dog. You know? So juice means to lead. If I see something I like, it's called seduce. The woman seduce me. If I see something that juices me. If something makes me feel bad, it's called reduce. What I've seen has made me go back. A detective deduce will follow the leads and bring down the lead. D means to bring down the leads of the juice. So education comes from the word educe. E means to go out, as in the word excite, explain. So X means out. So educe means to lead out. Once again, it depends who's doing the leading. Right, so once again, you've been primed by plain English and set up to be led, and this is where they bring in the grammar. So the grammar now, and the people who learn grammar don't go to comprehensive school. They go to Eton and the school, them school where they learn, come to me. Well, basically they learn what the grammar is. We learn how to understand the grammar because we've been made ordinary. So now we've made to comprehend, and comprehend means understand, stand under the grammar. And anybody who puts forward grammar, because they know the grammar, to put forward something is called pro. So if I'm going to protest something, I'm going to test you by standing in front of you. Projector, pro, is putting out a force. Producer, I'm putting out something that's going to lead something. So basically, so once again, if I'm putting forward grammar, I'm a programmer. So all the people at the higher level are learning how to program the rest of us. So this is how they've tricked us, and the process again is called streptosymbolia. Streptosymbolia is when you strep, which is strip, sound, which is phon, from the symbol. So when you strip the sound from the symbol, someone can be driving around in your car and you don't realize it. You're looking at your words that you created, because in the language it's called phonetics, coming from Phoenicians who studied from the Egyptians. You wouldn't be able to make a sound to a British word if you didn't know this. If you didn't know the sound of it, which is in brackets called phonetics. And phonetics is a skill of applying the sound to the symbols, just like electricians. So once again, they've taken away, they made us dumber, set us up for programming, giving us a process called streptosymbolia, so we no longer recognize it's our things. And if somebody teaches you how to forget what you had, it's called alexia. And alexia is learned dyslexia. So when you're taught by one of them, you forget who you are. Thank you.
Yes, let's hear it for our brother James and etymology. Woo! That was a lot of words coming out there. All right, my brothers and sisters, I think the organizer said, your throats may be a bit parched. And also, we've got lots of stores around in here outside. There's a brother on the outside who's selling vegetables and things like that. So we're going to have a 20-minute break before we come back for the last 15-minute break. 15-minute break before we come back for the last section, all right? So thank you, thank you, thank you.